Hello, this is Jane Goodall at the end of a very long day and just watching the news from the Ukraine, the invasion of the Ukraine. And, I grew up during World War II with the horrors of what was going on. There were soldiers in their tanks outside our house here in the UK, ready to go off into France, where most of those young men were killed. And the brave Air Force pilots who went out, and again, most of them got killed, including my beloved uncle, and the horrors of the Holocaust. But when I was down there at the darkest moment, it was as though a voice came and said, but look at what else there was during all those conflicts, during all those dark years. There were so many examples of the resilience of the human spirit, the human courage, the people who sacrificed their lives to help others. And after every disaster, there are those people who rush in to help, the community spirit that got us through World War II in the UK when it seemed that we would be overrun by the Nazis. But the British spirit, roused by the speeches of Churchill, yes, he made mistakes in the war, but it was his speeches that got us through the war. Rouse the spirit in the British people, we will not be defeated. And I look at what's happening in Ukraine now, and there are the refugees, the tragic separation of families, the women and children arriving in the cold, in the snow, but being met by so much warmth and so many people coming to offer them help and support and clothing and food and shelter. And one young man drove all the way from Czechoslovakia because he said he remembered when the Russians came in and occupied his country, or he heard from his parents and he wanted to help. And what about the people in Ukraine? It's not just the brave army. It's not just the tremendous determination and courage of the president, but it's the citizens. There are people standing up and saying, I'm prepared to die for freedom. I will never leave. I will fight. I will fight for freedom. This is what makes us human. It's this indomitable spirit that rises above disaster, that rises above despair. And so I end up, having come from the depths of despair myself, thinking of all the bad things, to a feeling of resilience in who we are, who we can be, who we should be, and realizing that an awful lot of what seems evil is due to lack of education. It's due to growing up in a society that teaches you the wrong values. Basically, we humans are decent, good people. And you see it in the way that people rise to face disaster. So I just want to end up by saying that a huge amount of my spirit stands with those people in Ukraine. I applaud you, and I sympathize with everyone who has relatives in Ukraine. But my heart is with those of you in Ukraine, fighting, risking your lives, and sometimes losing your lives for freedom, for decency, for the best in humanity. I can just say, thank you. You have my prayers. Candles are lit for you. And good night.